So looking at markets now, central aspect of economics. So the specification objectives are to understand the role of markets in allocating scarce resources. So we're thinking again back to this basic economic problem, what are we going to produce, who's going to get it, how do we produce, and understand what is meant by competitive market and the role of markets in allocating scarce resources. So that's really answered as well through the demands and supply and equilibrium section. So a market, important definition, two-mark definition, really short, where buyers and sellers meet to exchange goods or services. So it can be a physical market, such as your local market, where you might buy some fruit and veg, or it could be a market where you never actually meet the people, such as eBay, or it could be the market for holidays, so you're going to a travel agent's. There are so many different types of market in the world, but basically the same concept. Buyers and sellers are meeting, maybe physically or over the internet, to exchange goods and services. And the role of markets is just to sort out who's going to get what, really. And again, we're linking back to the basic economic problem, which is scarce resources and unlimited wants. So lots of people probably want lots and lots of different things, but how do we decide who's going to get it? Well, we use, in this country and most countries in the world, we use a market economy to decide who's going to get it. So in a free market, we have the market forces of demand and supply. So they allocate who's going to get what and for what price. In a totally free market economy, which is very theoretical, don't necessarily get, there's no intervention by the government, so no taxes or subsidies. Prices are purely determined by supply and demand, and competition puts downwards pressure on prices and upwards pressure on the quality. So that's meant to be one of the benefits of it. Later on in the course you learn about why that might not always happen. The opposite of a free market economy would be a command economy, which we talk about now, but we don't really talk about again in the course. But this is, you've probably heard about it before, but maybe not with the term command economy. You tend to get this type of economy in communist systems. So it's an economic system where most resources are state-owned and allocated by the government. So rather than demand and supply deciding what to produce and what price it's going to be, the government allocate those things. So the government decide on that. So the government would set targets for sectors of production, and the prices would be controlled by the government, and most assets, so things of value, are owned by the government, so nationalised industries. And then in between, you get your mixed economy, which is pretty much most economies in the world are mixed. So some characteristics of a free market and some characteristics of a command economy. So the governments do intervene in the market, but usually just to correct something called market failure, which you learn about later on. Prices are usually determined by demand and supply for most things, and there's a mix of public ownership, so that's ownership by the government, and private ownership. This is a nice little diagram. I think I got this from Wikipedia actually. Index of economic freedom. So you can see the countries that are more free and less free, but you'd have to look up, if you just type in 2014 Index of Economic Freedom, you'd be able to get the stats on what freedom kind of means, and the parameters of that. Okay, so that's the role of markets in allocating scarce resources.